Welcome to the Story Vault, where every tale is unlocked. From myths and legends to horror, fantasy, life stories, and real events. Every story has a place here. Now, let's open the vault and begin today's story. The Jackson 5's climb from the streets of Gary, Indiana, to the grand stages of America was like something out of a dream, but a dream that demanded sacrifice at every step. The tiny house they grew up in was a place of both warmth and pressure. Its walls echoed with music most evenings, but also with Joe Jackson's stern voice directing every move, every note, every gesture. The living room was barely big enough to hold all of them when they rehearsed, but that made no difference. Instruments were propped in the corners, cables snaked across the floor, and the faint smell of dinner from the kitchen mixed with the metallic scent of microphones and the sweat of effort. Michael was the smallest in stature, but already carried the biggest presence. His mother, Catherine, often stood quietly to the side, watching with pride and worry as her youngest son poured himself into the music. She adored his voice, the way he could lift a song beyond the page, but she also saw the toll the rehearsals took on him. Joe, however, never allowed sentiment to interfere with progress. If Michael's steps weren't sharp enough or his harmonies faltered, the correction was swift. He believed that life outside their home would be far harsher than anything inside it, and he was determined to prepare them. It was this intensity that forged their professionalism long before fame ever reached them. Local performances became a proving ground. They played at talent shows where the prize might be a small trophy or a few dollars, but to the Jackson brothers, it was an opportunity to sharpen their craft. The audiences varied, sometimes lively and encouraging, other times indifferent and distracted, but Michael learned quickly how to read a crowd, how to change his energy to match the room, how to pull wandering eyes back to him. In Chicago, the stakes grew higher. The clubs they played were bigger, the musicians more experienced, the competition tougher. Here, the smell of cigarette smoke hung heavy in the air, the lights were dim, and the hum of conversation filled the space until the first notes rang out. Michael would step onto the stage in his well-pressed suit, the fabric slightly stiff against his skin, and for those moments under the lights, he would transform. The shy boy vanished, replaced by a performer who could match the charisma of men 3 times his age. He studied the way seasoned singers moved, how they spoke between songs, how they commanded silence or sparked applause with a single gesture. These lessons embedded themselves in him like second nature. The turning point came when Bobby Taylor saw them perform. Was heavy, and then the applause broke like a wave. The deal was sealed. Motown wrapped them in its polished image-making machinery. Stylists selected their matching suits, publicists crafted their interviews, and songwriters tailored music that would highlight their harmonies and Michael's clear, ringing voice. Their first single, "I Want You Back," burst onto the radio like sunlight breaking through clouds. The bass line was playful and insistent, the strings bright and bouncy, and over it all, Mo's voice danced with pure joy. It climbed to #1 in early 1970, the first of 4 consecutive chart toppers. ABC followed, full of youthful energy. "The Love You Save" brought a sharper rhythm, and "I'll Be There" revealed a tenderness that seemed impossible. From someone so young, television turned them into a household name almost overnight. Their appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show was a cultural event. Families gathered in living rooms, the glow of the black and white or color set bathing them as the Jackson 5 took the stage. Michael's eyes shone with an energy that drew viewers in, his smile wide and genuine. He wasn't just singing, he was connecting, leaning toward the camera as though speaking directly to the person watching at home. The choreography was tight, their harmonies flawless, and their stage presence electric. It wasn't just the music, it was the sense that viewers were witnessing something new, something youthful yet impossibly polished. The tours that followed were unlike anything they had ever experienced. Crowds screamed so loudly it was sometimes hard to hear the music. Police escorts and security details became standard. In some cities, the fans would chase their cars down the street, pounding on windows just for the chance to touch them. Hotels had to create private entrances to keep the frenzy under control. Michael, though exhilarated by the love of the fans, began to feel the isolation that came with this level of fame. They could not simply walk into a store or eat at a diner without causing chaos. Every movement had to be planned, every public moment guarded. Backstage life was a constant rush of activity. Before each show, wardrobe racks lined the hallways, sequined costumes glittering under the dressing room lights. The brothers warmed up their voices together, stretching out harmonies like athletes before a game. Michael had a pre-show ritual, a few quiet moments alone, often humming softly to himself, eyes closed as if visualizing the performance ahead. The adrenaline would build until the opening notes played and the stage lights hit his face. And then the energy would pour out of him like water breaking from a dam. Joe Jackson's shadow loomed over every performance. His presence was a reminder that even in the glow of fame, there was no room for complacency. If a step was missed or a note went flat, it would be addressed later, often harshly. Michael learned to push through headaches, fatigue, and even illness, never letting the audience see anything but his best. That mantra, "the show must go on," became deeply ingrained. For better and for worse, Motown saw the potential for Michael as a solo artist almost immediately. In 1971, they released "Got to Be There," a song that showed a softer, more romantic side of his voice. Its success proved that Michael could command attention without the support of his brothers on stage. Then came "Ben," a song from a movie about a boy and his pet rat. While the premise seemed unusual, Michael's delivery was so sincere that the song resonated deeply with listeners. It reached #1, cementing his status as not just the face of the Jackson 5, but as a star in his own right. Balancing his solo career with the demands of the group meant an even more punishing schedule. Days might start with a television appearance, followed by rehearsals for a solo performance, then a group concert in the evening. The pace was relentless, but Michael rarely showed fatigue in public. He had been taught from the earliest days in Gary that opportunity was fragile, and that one mistake could close doors forever. And yet, even in the whirlwind, Michael began to dream beyond the boundaries set for him. He was curious about the recording process, fascinated by how songs were built in the studio, how arrangements could shift the emotion of a track. He admired artists who pushed the edges of their sound, and he began to imagine a time when he could do the same. For now, though, he remained loyal to the group that had launched him, the brothers who shared the weight of the spotlight and the discipline of their father. They were bound by music, by family, and by the shared knowledge that the world was watching.